Welcome to the Pauper Premier League, everybody. Here is not Adam Yerchik, it's Alex Ullman. Adam had some like internet problems and lagging problems, so we substituted Alex in to do commentary for our next match.
But I can say that Adam definitely won that last match. It was decisive.
Yeah, it was very decisive.
he never looked like he was behind, and I was watching the chat, and for once someone else was calling for a ban instead of me, so that wasn't nice to see because I'm usually the one that's going to blame for ban calls. So
I'm guessing we're saying Astrolabe here, right?
Yeah, and okay, you watched that. How do you feel about Arkham's Astrolabe?
It just seems nuts. Like I imagine Astrolabe on its own, it's fine, but when you bring like Core Skyfisher and Glinthawk into it, it just becomes so powerful. It just becomes this repeatable draw engine. And as an artifact, it's like Snowlands are really easy to implement in Pauper, so it's easy to slide in so many decks.
Yeah, so when we did the introduction last week, I was sitting in your seat with Brian Koval, and he and I both are of the opinion that it's still a very new card. It's not even 2 months in, and Pauper's very slow to adapt to new things, but it keeps doing its thing.
Yeah.
At the same point, you guys talked about a little bit last round that, Mono Green Stompy, Mono White Heroic both did very well in the last challenge. Up until a few weeks ago, Affinity was doing very well. So it looks like decks are adjusting. Speaking of decks that are adjusting, one of them is Burn, and that's what Chris is running this time around.
Yeah.
So what do you think of this matchup?
Who is? Oh, it's Mono Black Control, isn't it? Yeah.
Mono Black Control.
I think Burn's got a good chance here, right? Just because it's so quick out of the gates, and Mono Black Control takes a couple of turns to get going, and I think Chris can just take advantage of that.
Yeah, I think this time there are some key spells that are missing from Brian's deck. The two Duress are going to do a lot of work, and the Wrenchmine post board, but he doesn't have a lot of those kind of smaller packets of life gain, and he is leaning hard on those Knight's Whisper and the 4 copies of Sign and Blood to see more cards. Also, he's so removal heavy, and Chris only has those 8 creatures. So this, we could be giving Brian a couple hours of sleep before he has to draft.
Yeah, it's going to be. I think it's going to be a very quick game, and I think this is a really good matchup for Chris. Just going to be so quick out of the gates.
I feel for Chris. I was watching him test. I talked to him a lot, and watching him test, and just him going, I was sick of losing to Burn, so we're going to play Burn. I totally get that, but it looks like we're ready to go to the match. So let's see what they're doing.
As they say, if you can't beat it, be it. So, and that's what Chris has done.
Oh, is that what they say over in England?
Yeah, they do.
Okay. So it looks like who's on the play? Looks like Brian led on Bojuka Bog, and Chris has what is that? Ghitu Lavarunner.
Yeah.
Is Brian going to play a blocker? No. So this Curse of the Pierced Heart is going to do work.
Yes.
It is going to deal quite a bit of damage, and it's going to. There's no way in Brian's deck to remove it post board. He has to nab it with a Duress, and he had that opportunity, and he didn't take it.
He's going to get punished for that, I think.
Chris is leading on another creature.
Interesting.
Yeah, what do you think about that against the deck that has what looks like
lots of
removal spells? Yeah.
Yeah. It's not a line I would have taken. I would have just burned face, to be honest. I would have just tried and pile as much damage as possible.
Brian's helping Chris out.
Yeah, he's taking some damage. I'm not sure what Brian's looking for, but he got Duress out of it, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, this line, I can see the reasoning. Brian only has 3 cards, 3 other removal spells in 6 in the deck that can take out the Thermo-Alchemist at that point. And he used one, which was the Edict, so there were 6 left. And so this would mean next turn, Chris gets to pile on quite a bit of damage because he can tap that, deal 1 untap it with the needle drop, or deal up to like 10 this turn with all those bolts.
Yeah.
But Brian did manage to get the curse, so
there's a lifeline.
But yeah, Brian had to take 2 to get to that land drop, and this is going to be a fast one. You were right.
Yeah.
Oh,
Chris is setting up.
Yeah.
Why are you setting up against control?
I mean, you know what? It's not going to really matter all that much because next turn, so now each of his burn spells deal effectively 2 more damage plus 2 damage automatically. So, we're looking at, so Chris can do 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 10, 11, 12 damage on the next turn cycle, untap and win the game, unless Brian rips Grey Merchant of Asphodel.
Yeah, even that's his only life gain, isn't it, really, in the deck?
And even then, Chris is gonna have another 7 points the next turn. Yeah. So this game is over. Yeah.
It's quick.
It's all over but the crying.
Yeah.
and I'm sure Brian would kill for a healing salve about now, but even that wouldn't do much. Yeah. Chris learning the deck as he goes.
Going through the motions.
Remembering to tap Alchemist to get the untap trigger.
Yeah.
Yeah, this I've played a lot of mono black control, and I never like seeing burn. In fact, when I was testing for the first week of this, I was running a mono black control deck that it had 4 copies of Arkham's Astrolabe, so I could use the Mere Guild Mage, but I also had Weather the Storm main deck.
Nice
for the burn matchup because it is that bad.
Yeah.
So let's see. Is there a Grey Merchant? No.
There's lands.
So, if you're Brian, what are you bringing in? Because he has 2 more copies of Duress, 4 copies of Wrenchmind, and the Crypt Incursion, which all seem relevant here.
I think you should bring all of them in, right? And just take out the removal.
I think you take out your sweepers. I think you have to take out a Night's Whisper.
Yeah, just anything that just loses life. Like, you need to protect that life total as much as possible. And as it's great is to draw like 2 or 3 cards, but you might not have another turn if you keep doing that. So and Chris is just playing with his food. Yeah, and Chris is just playing with his food right now. So
I mean, Chris did say he picked this deck because he kept losing to it, and you can see why people lose to this deck.
It's explosive.
Two lands. And there's not much, this game is over. Yeah. That's it. We're going to game 2. So, if you're Chris, what do you do? Do you bring in Keldon Marauders as just like another creature, or?
I'd be tempted to side in a couple of creatures because I'm going to guess Brian's going to side out some removal. So I imagine they will stick around a little bit more. But like your matchup's so good anyway, like you don't really need to bring a whole lot in. So
I mean, I think you can take out a Curse of the Pierced Heart for Keldon Marauders because Keldon Marauders isn't hit by Duress, but it looks like Chris is considering the Relic of Progenitus, which I really like because it's an artifact, so it can be discarded to Wrenchmind.
Yeah.
So he's bringing
Relic's coming in. Yeah, taking out the Lavarunner. That
makes sense.
Yeah,
but I think is that his only change? Yeah, I see the Wrenchminds came in for Brian.
Yeah,
looks like he took out an Evincar's Justice, but Brian has to hope for one of those draws. That's Duress into, Wrenchmind, into Chittering Rats, into Wrenchmind Witches, into Grey Merchant.
Yeah. A lot needs to go in Brian's favor to win this, I think. Like a lot of subsequent hits.
Like the card so there were a couple cards that I've brought in or have tried in mono black. It looks like we're getting ready for game 2. Yeah. Moment of Craving, the -2/-2 with the gain 2.
Yeah.
It's okay. Looks like we're having a small technical difficulty. We're going to get the game up on the screen in a second. That card does a little bit of work. Tendrils of Corruption is kind of the traditional big one, which is for instant deal X or X number of swamps.
I got blown out by that in my first game.
Oh, looks like Brian does have Wrenchmind on turn 2,
Nice.
but Chris does have the Relic of
Relic.
Progenitus.
The Galaxy Brain play.
Oh, just don't play it.
Just
Don't
keep it
play
in your
the
hand.
No!
Oh,
Chris,
no!
why?
Chris.
There's no graveyard card that actually affects you. Oh.
Yeah, like Unearth doesn't do much against you, so
Unearth doesn't do much.
Edict does nothing.
So Brian has to be so excited right now because he knows that's the only artifact.
Yeah, and he's got a Grey Merchant in his hand as well. So if he manages to survive, he's got something.
Yeah, I think this is a muscle memory. I think Chris is used to gray mono black control decks that have Gurmag Angler and other.
Sure, yeah.
So, but this, I mean, discard 2 Searing Blaze, I guess.
Yeah.
Searing Blaze Mountain, okay.
Sure. You only need 2 mountains to win, as we saw in the last game.
Yeah. But something really interesting on that turn is that Brian cycled his 3rd land drop. He cycled Barren Moor. So that means he needs to draw a land to do anything.
Yeah.
Otherwise, and I mean, the only play he has right now is Oubliette for nothing.
Yeah.
Oubliette for 2 devotion.
Yeah. There's the land, at least.
Do you Oubliette here?
I would, just to try and get some life. Just as a means to put my life total out of Chris's reach. Like
with 2 Grey Merchants in hand, I'd be tempted to Oubliette and just put it on the board.
Yeah, just have it. Let's say don't target anything, just have it as for devotion, because you can go Grey Merchant to Great Merchant, and that just puts you so far ahead life-wise, and it buys you time to find a way to win this game.
And you also have a backup Oubliette and the Chainer's Edict to handle any creatures that may come down.
You got Chittering Rats now as well, which is really good.
Ooh. But you know what? That actually turns on Searing Blaze.
Yeah.
So Chris is going to get some 3 damage in here, but then he's kind of just drawing off the top with Lightning Bolt and Mountain. So
he can crack his Relic for something as well if he really wants to dig as well.
True. But I think just because he played it out, he's really valuing that Relic right now.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, see, he does not want Brian to get any value out of the graveyard.
Yeah.
I didn't happen to see if Brian left in his Unearth. Did he?
Don't think he did. I was too busy looking at Chris's sideboarding, I'll be honest with you.
Oh, okay, here we go. Brian helping Chris out again, dealing 2.
Yeah.
But there it is. There's a 5th land. So very soon, Brian is going to gain 2, then 4 life.
Yeah.
Now, the question is, will it matter? I mean, probably, because Chris only has Brian down to effectively 9.
Yeah.
Oh, he's cracking the Relic.
Yeah.
Skewer.
Critics. Very nice.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
So I think you have to, if I'm Chris, I think I have to suspend.
Yeah.
I think I then empty my hand so Chittering Rats is useless against me.
Yeah.
And put my opponent at effectively 3 life.
Yeah.
He's being patient. And in the face of Chittering Rats, I never like being patient. I like having an empty hand. Just because losing your draw step can be so big. So
this is interesting.
What needs to happen here? Brian, I think, is priced into playing Grey Merchant, going up to 14.
Yeah, he needs to get that life back.
Chris gets him back down to 11, and then potentially 5. But even a Fireblast doesn't fix it there.
Yeah.
So a lot's going to depend on the next couple of draws from Chris, obviously. Creatures are kind of useless. They really aren't going to do much. They're just going to be Oubliette food and eventually devotion.
And Gary blocks really well as well. Grey Merchant just blocks really well against these creatures. So.
I wonder if Does Chris win this? Oh, that's a land off the top. That's not what you want to see.
Rough.
Does Chris win this game if he doesn't have to discard a burn spell to Relic of Progenitus?
Potentially, yeah. Yeah, potentially, because
that spell was a Searing Blaze.
Exactly, yeah.
And he would have... Let's see. He would have been able to Searing Blaze, Grey Merchant.
Second Grey Merchant, yeah.
But I don't... You know what? No, I don't think it actually would have impacted the game all that much.
Sure.
So now Chris needs to draw Lightning Bolt into Needle Drop into Needle Drop into Needle Drop.
A lot of things need to go right.
Into Fireblast?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a Rift Bolt. That's fine.
Rift Bolt. So effectively, let's see, how does this play? Ooh, third Grey Merchant. This game
that changes it.
I mean, he had the Grey Merchant draw.
Yeah.
So the question is, does Chris leave in the Relic of Progenitus? Yeah. Oh, Chris doesn't even... Yeah, he knew it was over. There's no way Chris can come back from that.
Yeah. That's the problem with Grey Merchant. I always find there's always one after the other. There's just never one on their own. There's just always a chain of them.
That's how it always feels.
It needs to happen.
Except when I'm piling mono black control.
Yeah.
I think Chris doesn't want to change anything. I think he just... Oh, he's bringing out the Relic.
It's Blazes as well.
I can respect that. Brian doesn't have a ton of great targets, and it looks like Chris is bringing in Molten Rain to try and choke mana. Looks like Chris brought in Molten Rain to choke Brian on mana, but also to take out those Bojuka Bogs before they can really do anything besides exile Graveyard, which doesn't really matter here.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one's going to depend on the openers.
Yeah. He kept the relic in though.
No, I think he took it out.
Did he take it out?
I think he took it out. I like this opener from Chris. It has everything you want. Just go face.
Lots of burn.
Yeah. And next turn he's going to be able to lightning bolt and I don't know. Do you lightning bolt and skewer? Or do you lightning bolt and needle drop? I think you have to needle drop.
Yeah.
This hand does not look good from Brian rather. There's a lot
really
of land.
Slow.
Yeah, he's not going to do anything till turn 3. He might not even get to do anything on turn 3 because if Chris gets a land, that Molten Rain, Chris gets the land.
Yeah.
So that Molten Rain is going to do some heavy lifting.
Yeah, it's going to stop casting Grey Merchant to get some life back. So.
Oh, I like this.
Yeah.
Oh, no. That Duress is going to do work here.
Oh, that's a top deck. Ugh.
Yeah. That was probably the best draw Brian could have had.
That Molten Rain needs to go, right?
I think you have to take Molten Rain.
Yeah.
Maybe not. I think actually... Okay, you took Molten Rain. There's a defense of taking Lightning Bolt there.
Yeah.
Because if you take Lightning Bolt, you turn off both the burn spells in Chris's hand. And then, granted, he does take out your land, but then you've kind of stranded him.
Yeah.
Granted, Chris's deck is very redundant, but now you go down to and Brian knows. Brian is effectively at 11 life. 10 life, rather.
Yes.
And
Skewer off the top as well. Very nice.
So let's see. I think you just 9 to the face here.
Yeah, you just do it.
And yeah, that's great because now
put you in top deck mode.
That Chittering Rats is useless. I mean, so Chris has 2 turns to draw 4 points of burn.
Yeah, which is very likely.
Yeah, I mean, Fireblast does it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a very bad draw.
Yeah.
I mean, so let's see. Next turn, there's not much. I mean, the best possible draw for Brian next turn is any creature. Oh.
That changes things.
the best possible draw is Cuombajj Witches or Chittering Rats, but still neither finishes. Like, Chittering Rats. Okay, but now there's no 5th land. That Molten Rain was a smart move.
So,
I don't like it on the draw from Chris, but I do like it a lot on the play because you do hit your 3rd land draw before they do. And any burn spell ends it right here.
Yeah.
What doesn't end it is any creature. Well, that's not a burn spell that ends it.
That's neither.
So.
Soon. It's going to close.
Do you go for Wrench Mind here? I think you have to.
I do, yeah. Attack first.
I mean, unless Brian is putting Chris on Needle Drop. Which is possible.
Yeah.
Did he Needle Drop himself?
Yes.
He did, to draw a card, and he got it. He would have gotten it anyway, but that was a play I was not expecting.
Yeah. Nicely done.
So, Brian DeMars. Just for value. Brian DeMars ends his night at 1 and 2. Chris Van Meter moves to 1-0, joins Adam Yurchik at 1-0, and you're Brian just showing off. You're 0-1.
Yeah,
but
I play Chris next, I believe.
You play Chris next, so that's an interesting match. How do you feel about your chances there?
I'm not too confident, to be honest. Like, I'm not too familiar with the matchup, but there's a lot of removal, and my dudes are like X1s and X2s. I do have stuff like Spellstarter Sprite and Counter Spell, which might be quite nice. We'll just have to see how quick Chris is out of the gates.
I will say Spellstarter Sprite is a heck of a Magic card, and one that always trips me up.
Yeah.
So it looks like we are getting ready to go to a quick commercial break. You know what? Good luck, Brian, in the Mythic Championship. We are rooting for you, and Michael. And we will see you all in a few short minutes.